Hello. Okay, let's hope that this is all working. I've had to, I need to just reconfigure some of the stuff. I'm deciding whether I need to get a new ring for a new lens because this is currently on my iPhone, but I don't look like this. Like I was looking at my last stream and it's like, I do look a little bit like this, but like the way that the light goes, like I can only do so much with, because if you don't have like a low light lens, you kind of, at my desk, I'm reliant on natural light, so I'd have less control over the light. But if I'm in the studio, you kind of have to wrangle the kit lens. So I'm kind of deciding whether I just bite the bullet and just go iPhone. Because it's gotten to a point now where like I've got an iPhone, I don't know, 13, like just the iPhone 13. But I've been thinking and back and forthing about it because I said that I'd wait for any new sort of iPhone or anything until they move to USB-C, but and they've done that, so I'm just thinking about stuff. But anyway, I think this seems to be a bit of a strange time of day for people, so I'm probably just going to end up just talking at the lens to nobody today, but that's okay, because that helps me to, It is funny though, because when I schedule a stream where I'm like chatty and wanting to like kind of interact, it's always a weird time. And then when I am wanting to actually just get on with the stream, it's like everyone starts and I can't interact. But I'm working on I'm working on like a proper structure and content calendar. And, normally I've done, like you may have noticed that I've dropped off a little bit in the last like couple of months, not just because I've been busy, because of like law school, because there's no such thing as like too busy for something that you want to do. If anybody who knows anything about like life, business, and ADHD in particular, which is that there's no such thing as too busy if you really want to do something. Okay, it's a matter of prioritizing. But a lot of the problem has been that I've got a lot of pre-recorded stuff that I need to do for courses and various other things. But I've also got, I'm feeling a shift, like I might be almost ready to do more pre-recorded content. And there's a slight shift in what I'm doing, because I'm obviously going to start putting actual proper content out there, rather than just doing the live streams, which for me has always just been about sort of exercising the video muscle. Because I think it's really funny actually, because you find that people wander in and they haven't been there for sort of the full part of my journey. I hate that fucking word, but my video thing, which is the reason why I do this, is not because I like doing video, but precisely because I don't, which is that I've always suffered from stage fright. Video for a lot of years was something that I couldn't do because I was so paralyzed with fear over it that I avoided it. And it became, it got to a point where I had to get upskill. I had to learn how to do this stuff. I had no problem speaking on a stage or running workshops or doing sort of anything like that. I don't have a general fear of speaking in public. I have a fear of performing, or a fear of I don't give a fuck about making it a fool of myself, right? That's not something that I'm worried about. But I've always just had this weird I've heard about this. I was reading about this not long ago, and it's something called, what is it? I've gone off on a fucking, is it demand avoidance or something along those lines? Is it the pathological demand avoidance? And it's for people who are on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum. I'm on many, many spectrums, and PDA is another one of those spectrums within a spectrum. But I'm on that, and it's actually something, I just had it come up in my recommends and stuff, and I've never really dived too deep into me spurging or whatever. I don't give a fuck. But it is like a demand avoidance, where when there's a pressure on you, it's not so much a fear of the thing, but it's the fear of the expectations and the pressure and all that stuff around that stuff. And you do avoidance behaviors and all that sort of stuff around that pressure. And so that kind of does, I can kind of relate somewhat to that, and it kind of put a name to the reason why I don't like doing certain things, is because it's not so much about fear, but it's about control, right? It's part of the reason why I've decided to start streaming more on Twitch again, because Twitch, obviously every live stream has an element of there's a lack of control there, which is that you get someone wander in any time and it can just sort of blah, that, right? That's a skill in itself. And I think it's a skill that people, when you are consuming content, you take that stuff for granted, how difficult it is to deal with people who just sort of pop in and, manage that stuff on the fly. That's a skill that you've got to build in your own right, in its own right, sorry. And, but, so leaning into this lack of control, that's one thing, So anyway, I just thought that was quite interesting. So, but people think that I'm like video, but I actually do this because I don't, and because I need to keep the skills. And if I haven't streamed for a while, as you've noticed today, my speaker muscles atrophy very, very quickly, right? It's because it's not something that I naturally do. There's people who can just, it's not something that comes naturally to me. So I haven't had media training. I didn't come out of performing arts. I wasn't a theatre kid, unlike, the majority of political commentators. I'm actually someone who's just qualified in a field, and, it needs to acquire new skills, and kind of just threw myself in the deep end to do so. So it's it is actually really funny, where I've got this new pressure, which is that I can quite happily, I've conquered live streaming, right, to a point, not in terms of the numbers, but in terms of the skills that you are required, like technical. The audio is not great at the moment because I've got tech stuff, but, I do the best I can. But, in terms of the actual understanding what to do, how to do it, how to produce it, all the things that are needed, the only real gaps are in the resources, not so much in I feel like as a technical skill, I've conquered live streaming. Okay. But then you've obviously got the pre-record side of things, which is writing a script, performing that, editing, all that sort of stuff. Now, I know how to edit video, but I find it terribly tedious and boring. So what I want to do, but I've also found that when I have to pre-record a video, I end up doing like 30, 40, 50 takes, and it's a different source of anxiety. So I've got all of those sorts of things going on in my head. It's like, it's not easy. And if you consume content, I would like to, and are critical of people who create content, I would pause. I mean, people won't on the internet, but, you know, I would suggest that that you pause and think about, before you start sort of criticizing people who put themselves out there and create content, that you actually break down the skill set required to do these things, and you will find that it's actually, you know, not as straightforward. It's very easy to consume things. It's not so easy to build things and create things, right? And so, but anyway, so I'm sort of working through a lot of this stuff, and also obviously doing law school, but I'm shifting focus, and I've got to come up with like a regular schedule, you know, regular content schedule. And a lot of my work has actually been around working on the business, and sort of, you know, not on the business. That's just a saying. You don't work in the business, work on the business, right? You've got to not spend too much time working in the business. You've also got to work on the business. And I've been very much in on the business mode. So, you know, and obviously everything is moving, especially because my focus is very much more on sort of, you know, regulation and ethics and like the legal stuff, and sort of a lot of those you know, historical gaps that a lot of people have, trying to educate sort of ordinary people on tech law. Everything has been moving at such a pace that you know, you get left behind if you try to if you try to stay on top of everything. You are not. This is the paradox of the nature of this content. I've said to Paul, why can't I just set up a fucking cooking channel, right? Do fucking cooking, because the paradox of this is that, and again, these could be things that are just in direct conflict with each other. But the challenge that I have in terms of what needs to sort of happen is that the stuff that I talk about crosses three complex disciplines, okay? So the law in its own right, people don't know a lot, but they think they know how the law works. Politics, they think they know how politics works. They don't, okay? Most people can't even sort of differentiate between levels of government or basics. They don't know. The only time people know that we've got a constitution and what's in that constitution is when, you know, there's a referendum on and people are just knee-jerk arguing. You know, they don't understand that stuff and how those things interact. But then you've obviously got tech on top of that. And these are three things that you interact with as a user, right? So as a citizen, you're an end user of the law. You're an end user of the political system. You're an end user of the tech. And again, back to that, there is a difference between being the end user and being someone who actually creates the thing. It applies for everything. So trying to distill those things to people, to end users who don't necessarily understand what is going on, or first of all, barely even interested in it, and even though it is very important to know, you know, it's a challenge. It's actually like, it is a sort of an intellectual challenge. It is something that is, some of those things are somewhat incompatible with each other, because you've got people who just go Marxism and just shout, and then you've got obviously a news media, you know, a bunch of journalists who claim expertise in things that they are not experts in. They've done one thing in it, or they've writing an article about something does not make you an expert in the thing. Okay, having friends in that thing, you know, it's like I remember an argument where it's not an argument, just a conversation, and I just go. Someone said, we're having a discussion about something, and she said, my dad is a doctor, therefore. I was like, you do know that that's not how it works. It's like, well, if your dad's a doctor, he'd be able to tell you that this stuff isn't passed down with your genes. You still have to do the training and the work, right? It's like, there's a limit to that stuff. But anyway, so, but that's kind of my mission, is to try and distill some of this stuff in a way that is accessible, but also doesn't remove the complexity of it. And that's always the challenge. up against people where they've just got fixed ideas because they think they know it all. So that's always the challenge. So I am trying to work on things, but also, you've got all this AI stuff. It can be somewhat demotivating in terms of creating meaningful content or, like writing every day. It's demotivating when most people think that like AI writes well or that AI can do therapy. That's the first thing I'll talk about today. But the AI, therapy, an industry that is just a complete race to the bottom, which is the second, like we're already seeing scammers and bad guys and dickheads and, all those people who are just there to just wreck it and exploit it. And that's something that I've seen like through obviously running a digital agency, watching these dodgy SEO agencies and people who are quite comfortable with black hat practices and black hat marketing and all of those sorts of things, put our industry into anyway. So it is demotivating in terms of this race to the bottom with the industry at large, coupled with obviously content creators that aren't really qualified to speak, but also there's a difference between having the right to speak and being qualified to speak, and I think a lot of people conflate those things. We are seeing real problems here. They are real. It's like I'm trying to cut through this stuff. I'm trying the best I can. It is largely a resource issue. Like if I could find, obviously I have thought about sort of partnering or setting up a think tank. I just don't think I've got another fucking startup in me. But, setting up some sort of thing where, I have been working on various ideas over the years. Okay. To try and fix the problems. But, it is very, very difficult. You're up against the money and the power, and you're up against, the stupid, and the stupid outnumber all of us, right? So anyway, okay. So this is not a live chat today, so that's okay. But give me 1 second. Okay, just let me get my stuff. Okay. So basically, I don't mind if I'm like meandering or whatever at the beginning of the stream, because, obviously sometimes it takes a little while for people to show up and stuff, but we're good. Okay, so let me just get my notes in front of me. Okay, so now this is one of the things I think that maybe this went a little bit viral this week, and it's really started a conversation. And I'm still so obviously, it's so moving, so fast moving. Okay. And I think what we've got to do as an industry, okay, is pause for a second. And a lot of it is just the circle of life, okay, which was when the internet hit, I was young. Thought I knew it all. I was going, well, leave us alone, Grandpa. You're out of touch. You don't know what you're talking about. The grown-ups and the laws will figure it out. They'll catch up with us, okay? They'll tell us what to do. We'll just keep pushing up against the law and against the things, and someone will eventually stop us. But until someone eventually stops us, we're just going to do what we can get away with to make a buck. And I'm seeing this repeat on, like this is obviously, that's what capitalism is, right? But the nature of this machine that we've got is that the bad guys will always be ahead of the good guys, okay? By the time the good guys catch up, okay, or by the time the consequences of certain actions and behaviors catch up with the bad guys have moved forward and on. They've moved on, okay? Now, I'm seeing things where, how can I, like, we're already seeing it with AI. So you basically, there's this strategy like at the moment that I'm seeing do the rounds, okay, which is where you just have ChatGPT generate 100 riddles or 100 questions or whatever. You use Canva to create, you can load that spreadsheet into Canva. You can then generate, basically unlimited stories and posts with quizzes and stuff, and you just vacuum up like money, okay, from YouTube or whatever. So basically, using various exploits along the way. It's the same thing with like AI generated images, like on Etsy. So using like AI generated images to create t-shirt designs to then, with no, again, I qualified, there is a difference between obviously, taking an AI generated image and putting it on a shirt versus creating a derivative work that is uniquely, something that you've done. Like that's where AI should fit in that pile as a tool. But unfortunately, what you're seeing is the enshittification of everything. Okay, now I want to talk about this a little bit more separately in another stream, because I want to talk about how places like Amazon, like the Amazon store, at the moment they've had to put limits on how many books that people can upload, because basically what people are doing now, again, this is just constant, it's just constant. Like the industry needs to, I have been pushing for regulation for fucking years and years and years, and they don't, because everyone benefits from the dodgy shit as much as, in varying degrees, but for the most part, like everyone does something that they're not comfortable with because money or client demands or in some cases, complete lack of ethics. Most of it because they're completely fucking idiotic and they don't have any idea that there's actually laws and ethical guidelines and, that it will catch up with them eventually, right? That's when I'm going to get to the engineers on AI therapy, which is the fact that the law, it's illegal, likely illegal, and not to mention just unethical. Okay. And engineers treating things that just because, and this is that, again, that mindset that just because it's not illegal doesn't mean, treating ethics as something that are subjective, okay? They're not. In some cases, those things exist. Regulation fits more around, like legal is not, just because it's technically legal doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And it doesn't mean that the law will not eventually catch up with you and change in order, it's like, well, you've got to be forward thinking about this stuff. But what we're seeing with AI is like this bollocks where people are just generating shit that's stupid and farming people for their cash for stupid and they rationalize it somehow. It's like, oh yeah, okay, but in the whole time, basically they're just making the whole internet shit and unbearable to use. But also the demotivating part is that what's the point in actually creating anything real? There's no incentive to do so. Because the people that have actually stuck around and, been real and done the right thing have ended up being crowded out with a sea of fucking bots and shit and SEO and black hat tactics and, astroturfing and mass reporting. And it's like, well, what's the point in fucking writing anything? You sit there and you go, what is the fucking point? Oh, well, and then there's those, like, obviously they go, well, the process is its own reward. Yeah, of course it is. But people have to live and have to eat and have to survive. Like, this costs money. There's overhead involved in all of these things. Like, it costs me, like, I think about $500 a month. Well, no, that's not right. About $250 a month just to fucking live stream because of all of the things in terms of, and if you add in my time, then that's obviously a lot more than that. In terms of the sacrifice and opportunity cost. Like, this is the reality, which is that those who cut corners, do the shittiest work, the laziest work, the low effort, data-driven bollocks get a leg up. The bad guys are incentivized and the good guys are punished. And it's like, and we know that that's something that has happened since the beginning of time, okay? But at the same time, you can accept that that's the case and not gaslight people who try to like push back on it or act like it's not within your control and turning a blind eye to the fact that you're participating in this thing. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just how it is. What we need to do, and this is like, okay, this leads into the AI therapy thing. So this thing went sort of viral on X, Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. Fucking calling it on Twitter, right? It went viral, which was obviously someone quite young, and who basically was saying, so ChatGPT, bear with me. So OpenAI were announcing that now their ChatGPT app can now process audio, okay, and it can see images and process audio, as well as doing text. And this was somebody who was actually in the, I think, trust and safety or whatever variation, ethics, whatever, in OpenAI. So this was an employee of OpenAI. And basically said that they personally spoke to ChatGPT and it's going to revolutionize therapy. And obviously that person got some pushback. Now, the reasons for the pushback, now this is the thing, this is the problem with techs overall, and engineers particularly, their overall attitude and contempt towards people who understand things that they don't understand, okay? Or that people who are older than them or who have gone through things or, for whatever reason have actually left the industry because it's so fucking disgusting at the moment, in my case, the pushback is not because they're haters. Or because, so basically there was pushback on this, which was, she basically said, I had this conversation with ChatGPT, I felt better. And then, she started talking about how AI as therapy is going to be the future. Now, professionals who are therapists would tend to disagree with that. And there are multiple reasons why, okay? First of all, okay, therapy is not there to affirm you, okay? Therapy is there to help you. And this is the thing about harm, and especially when you are dealing with therapy, okay, which is that there are several hundred different approaches and several potential, interacting, subtle, complex things that happen in a therapeutic relationship that engineers aren't very good at reading for a start, nonverbal communication, okay? Engineers don't understand people, and you cannot, first of all, you can't replicate people. This is the fundamental fucking underlying thing, which is that just because you think you can doesn't mean you can, okay, or should, okay. But therapy is a specific skill set, and there is a reason why you have to have a master's degree and years of supervised practice, PhD, and even then you are heavily, heavily regulated, okay? There is a reason why that is there, and that is because this shit is, you have to know, you can accidentally harm somebody while thinking that you're hurting them. The other way around. You can actually harm someone while you think you're helping them, okay? That is the biggest problem with, that's why, and obviously, hang on, I've stumbled my words. Guitar ministry problem. But there is a reason why the psychology boards exist, which is to protect patients. Okay, well, they would say protect consumers, but let's just say protect patients, because I'm sick of this, consumer bollocks around things where vulnerable humans are involved. People, okay, vulnerable people. This is not rich kid having a conversation. And this is the same thing that happened with social media, which was this idea that you could create these communities and these echo chambers where you could go on and have every thought and every idea that every bad idea that you've had, every ignorant thing that you've ever said, every idea that you've got some sort of illness, every fucking, whatever, okay, and have that affirmed by people, others around you, okay? That's dangerous. And we already have that problem with younger psychologists doing that, okay? We're going to see that coming, we're already seeing it now. You don't go to a psychologist or to a counselor or to anything like that with the idea that they're your friend. They're not a paid friend, Okay, they are not there to affirm you. They are not there to talk to you. They're not there to fucking, just listen at you while you talk at them and brain vomit. Brain vomit, but, vomit all your shit all over everybody. Therapy exists to get you functioning and to help you be better and work through your shit so that you actually function in the world, okay? That is, and there are philosophical conversations about what that looks like and what that means and how oppressive that might be and how there's, all those sorts of, let's just park all of that philosophical shit, because a lot of these people fucking misdirect and quibble and, do all of this shit, okay? They go to Wikipedia and look up fucking Gestalt therapy and they think I'm a therapist now. And, how the fuck is this? But these ethical boards exist for a reason. These ethical standards exist for a reason, which is that you don't want to go to a therapist who makes things worse, okay? But they're also not there they're not there to chat with you. They are not there they are there to treat you. Okay, they are there to keep you alive and challenge you on your beliefs, work through your shit, and be better and more assertive or less aggressive or various other things. And this is that sort of, again, we could talk about CBT. The history of CBT was to get it under 6 sessions so that the insurance companies would pay for it. It is not the best. It's not the best therapy. CBT is quite abusive and dismissive and all those sorts of things. CBT is the patch her up, put them out, fucking fixer upper. Okay. Now, so this whole AI therapy thing. So the blowback was legitimate, which is that ethics boards exist for a reason. Psychologists are registered for a reason. Okay. And, it's not everything is just, yours to take. It's just the entitlement, right, of these fucking tech people. Give me the shits. We went through this with social. They've learned absolutely fucking nothing about any of this. And anybody who turns around and says, you know what, that's going to hurt people far worse than anything we've seen with social media. You are going to fucking hurt people. And they go, oh, well. And then she goes, oh, people are bullying an Asian woman for having an opinion. No. You're a representative of OpenAI. Okay, this is a comms problem as well. I've talked about this before with CEOs. The role of a CEO, if I was the CEO of OpenAI right now, I would be calling that person in and going, you know what that does is you're fucking us up. I've talked about the role of comms people before, which is that maybe you should shut the fuck up and stop ruining things. This is the problem with this freedom of speech brainworms, okay? And I'm not saying that there's not a slippery slope there, but at the same time, it's like, fucking hell, saying the quiet part out loud. But then, obviously all the tech bros, of course, come to the girl's defense, because of course they did, because a lot of the criticism was about the fact that, first of all, she's not a therapist. She's not a qualified therapist. She was tweeting in her, as a representative of OpenAI, okay, which is, it's just bad comms. You shouldn't be doing that. It's bad for your fucking brand. But also the fact she's not a qualified therapist. She works in trust and safety, which actually, that's quite substantial in the opposition, which is the fact that, first of all, she has, in other words, she is telling us how they're going to be fucking programming these algorithms, which is to, anyway, I'm just saying there's lots of different issues here. But the reason why it does is, but then what happened was you got all the tech bros going, well, it's better than BetterHelp. And I'm like, yeah, BetterHelp should be regulated as well. What's your fucking point? It's like, that's what they do. They nudge you away from reasonable, which is that BetterHelp shouldn't exist either. And they turn around and it's like, this is your brain on capitalism, which is you go, well, it's better than the other shit option that's for profit and drives people mad. Okay. And BetterHelp's, they basically, it's like an Uber for mental health. If you watch YouTube or anything with ads, you'll see that fucking product placement a lot. But, and the thing is that and a lot of their argument was, well, it's better than BetterHelp, first of all. Second of all, well, I liked it because I was able to talk about my shit without anyone okay, that's not therapy. Okay, that's a diary that talks back. Okay. And And then, but they turn, so well, it's good for me, so therefore it's fine. And also, there's no downside here. There's no downside at all. And also, stop being racist and hateful and stop bullying. I'm sorry, but if you're talking about things that fuck up people, it's not bullying. It's trying to get you to understand that you are not God, that you do not run things just because you took a maths class. Just because you work in ML or anything like that, you are not fucking God. You do not have the answers to things. Other people might, which is that this is unethical and will eventually, if I have anything to do with it, be illegal. Okay? Because engineers cannot do this. They don't understand people. For fuck's sake. Know where you end. If you're in tech, know where you end. Because this is what the problem is. Fucking STEM lords and engineers and fucking, like that fucking, what's his name? That Colin Wright, the biologist who's suddenly talking about fucking politics, all these dickheads. They don't know what they're talking about. They are wrong. Just because they are good at one thing doesn't mean they are good at the other thing. And that's why I try to stay, in lane. And like this psychology thing is like, hazy. Okay. I didn't finish my grad dip psych, but I did it again. I'm not talking as a therapist. Okay. I'm talking as somebody who objects to this. And I'm saying, listen to the psychologists and listen to the people who know what the fuck they're talking about on this stuff. Consult with experts. You do not have the answers to this. I will tell you now, I have met many engineers and they're fucking retarded when it comes to people, and I would not trust them. I don't care. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how smart they think they are. I don't care. It's not your area. And you should not be making these unilateral decisions that actually cause harm to people. You are not God because you took a maths class. Okay? If anything, it's the opposite. It's like, for fuck's sake. But also, even just simply, don't just dismiss the fucking opinion of someone who is over 35. There are people who have gone through this, who have been shouting for years and years and years and years and years about what the consequences of these things are. And then to turn around, they're just right-wing racists. No! You are dangerous and are going to hurt people. Social media companies are hurting people. When Facebook did that 2013 study, or they got caught doing it, they've been doing it for years. They did a 2013 study on emotional manipulation of algorithms. Okay, so they're using sentiment analysis. They've done all these studies where they were A/B testing positive and negative emotions and whether they could actually impact that with their algorithm. So they could actually manipulate people's emotions using the newsfeed. Okay, 2013. That was widely criticized as deeply fucking unethical. Okay, because unfortunately, the people who actually know what they're talking about are regulated and have to operate within ethical guidelines. And they said, no, this is no. And if they had heard us in 2013, we may not be here now, which is that every algorithm is a mental illness factory. I don't know if you've seen in the last in the last few days, but the shit about this, yes, it was funny, but this 5G shit with the emergency alerts in America, okay? Yes, it's funny because they're stupid and they're crazy. But, there is a dehumanizing aspect to this as well. They're also vulnerable and, yeah, I have no power. I can go, look at the crazy person, okay? But if you are like in tech and you are not seeing that and fucking worried, then you should get away from these products. This is my frustration, which is that there's no and I've said this for years. I've got a fucking column I wrote when the Ashley Madison hack happened. And I was like, you need to take this shit more seriously. This is vulnerable people. It is their secrets. It is their lives. And you're a megalomaniac who is just only concerned with getting funded with your latest fucking spy necklace without any fucking consideration for the consequences of your actions. And it's like, what is wrong with you? And again, I can tell you why, because, I'm asking a rhetorical question, obviously. It's like, American capitalism fused with fucking, MIT brainworms, where they think that, engineers, because of this fusion of being rich with being a fucking god, when you actually do some real analysis, the more money you have, the less soul you've got. Because most of us have at some point built products. Most of us at some point have not gotten funded because we spoke about ethics rather than being willing to shoehorn this fucking evil shit into our apps. Okay. Fucking meritocracy brain and tech brain and engineer brain. You're not that smart and you're not that good and you don't fucking know what you're doing. Okay. Just because you're in tech and just because you can pass tests on lead code and just because you can fucking code doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're doing. Socially or politically or anything. I'm so sick of this shit. I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of seeing it because with AI, and I'm not an alarmist when it comes to AI. I'm actually, quite amenable to it. I think it's, but every time I see this stuff, I sit there and I go, this is going to cause mass psychosis. This is going to cause a lot of fucking harm. This is going to lead to so many terrible things because it has already. You've already got people who think that an emergency alert on their phone is leading to a zombie apocalypse because they're putting a virus through the 5G towers. And that's a more common belief than you would think. And that is directly driven by this is something that has been driven by algorithms because they, rather than engage and sit down and put in the more expensive model of actually talking to their fucking users about stuff, just ban them or have them shouting into the void with shadow bans so they lose their fucking minds and think, oh yeah, well, I'm censored, therefore, must be true. You need to put in these models where you are able to talk to a person who explains what happened with the ban. Again, there's a lot of overlapping things here. But this, you can't even get the basics right. I've advocated for the outreach stuff before, which is that, you need to be able to talk to somebody that's not an AI to get help. To have someone talk you down, to explain what's going on. And I've unfortunately decided to take it upon myself with fucking, a few $100s a month of resources up against fucking, the Daily Wire and Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and fucking Russell Brand and Rumble. And I'm defending tech over here who I know are doing the right thing, but they're not listening. We need outreach for users that are, believe it or not, Meta are probably the closest, okay, at the moment, which is around the, the oversight board. Again, it has everything that's got that amount of influence over what people see is going to have an element of, corruption to it. It's going to be corrupted because that's what these things are, because they're propaganda machines. They're always going to be, much like, the democratic process or the government or, legal process or courts. There's going to be people like Trump everywhere, okay? People who use Elon Musk, they are symptoms of a systemic problem, of a systems problem, where these things already, you're just always plugging holes and always plugging gaps and always trying to improve. And I am on the side of YouTube and I'm on the side of tech people because I know that most people are doing their thing, but I also know that they're siloed. I also know that they hire people only who are fucking, in this bubble of she'll be right. I haven't, and also where they don't see the damage on the ground with, I joked last night. about this. Like, it's like, for fuck's sake, would someone just give them a minimum wage and free healthcare? Because they're fucking off the deep end right now. Just give them something that rebuilds trust, because they're not getting fuck all. And, you got this complete and utter right-wing fucking, the Steve Bannon approach, flood it with shit. Okay, and AI is only making that worse. Like I said, they're just flooding it with shit, flood it with shit, so nobody knows what's true. And this is the problem, because it's like you are patching the symptoms of the problem. You're putting Band-Aids on this problem. Okay. You are, it starts with, like, again, that approach to CBT. Well, okay, do we want the thing that is the most beneficial but also costs more? So this, and this is socialist versus capitalist analysis. Under capitalism, the the motive is towards profit, which is, okay, let's create a therapeutic program that requires maybe a team of 3 therapists who are each specialized in their own field to be able to help work through complex things. In my case, for example, you might need someone who's an expert in ADHD, an expert in autism, an expert in giftedness, an expert in fucking childhood trauma, and you'll have these things, and then you'll have someone who also is an expert in the overlaps between those things, and you might actually get some sort of like tailored therapy that actually helps you to navigate through the world. Now, luckily for me, I kind of, as much as I ranted then about being, Dunning-Kruger shit, for the most part, I'm pretty good at that. I'm good at seeking help when I need to. But, I'm saying, or should we just get a 6-week CBT session that not only discourages people from getting therapy because they only ever get exposed to CBT, but also that is done in 6 weeks and cannot actually really give anything other than a patch up to and make things worse in the long run, because you're not using sort of other more psychodynamic and, all those other, anyway, you're not using those approaches that are more expensive. Sorry, yes, it's more expensive, but that's the better option. And this is the brain worms. When you are over a barrel with VCs, you are always going to go for the thing. Like, I'm already seeing that Microsoft with Bing, they are selling with Snapchat AI. Snapchat AI is a chatbot, right? And I'm seeing, again, you see these different type sides of the conversation, and you go, this is not going to go well. So you've got a whole cohort of Gen Z on Snapchat who are using this Snapchat AI, and they are saying that it's the best therapy they've ever had. No, it's an echo chamber of, affirming their beliefs a lot. And if you look at their profiles, guess what? Their profiles are all fucking 24, 18 plus only, BLM, every fucking flag under the sun. And it's like, yeah, of course you're going to think that the chatbot is like therapy. I don't see the results there. That's actually more of a sign that you need real therapy, okay? Because that person is just getting all these labels and identities affirmed on the fucking, on the AI. Okay? Again, they probably had that beforehand, but I'm just saying, right? Therapy is not just talking at somebody. I mean, you shouldn't just talk at people anyway, unless you are setting up a live stream, for example. But you shouldn't just sit there and unload on people all the time. It's not healthy. But but you definitely, like, unloading on an AI, that's like a whole other thing. Okay, now I'm not saying you shouldn't use it in a way that it can prompt you to write certain things or prompt you to explore certain emotions. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this is more, this is like, that's not what therapy is. Okay, that's just not what it is. And, so the therapeutic relationship is really complex and requires a human being. But also, don't forget that just from a purely technical, legal perspective, it's unlicensed practice. Every psychologist, counsellor, or counsellor's not so much, but, don't go to an unregistered counsellor. Okay, but you can technically, but you shouldn't. But the reason why these registrations and boards and certifications exist is because it's actually fucking serious. It's not like SEO where you can just enter the market, talk shit, and steal from people. It's not like YouTube. You can't just enter it and identify as a psychologist and suddenly everything fucking, that's not how the world works, and it's not how these things work. They're serious and they hurt people, like with a lawyer. If you, anyway. Oh, sorry. Oh, I set off Siri. Hang on a sec. My Siri went off in my head. But it's like this fucking bollocks with the internet where everyone thinks that because they can look it up, and they don't even look it up, but they can comment on it. And again, I'm in two minds about this limitations of things. If you run a large Facebook community, you should be regulated in some way. If you run a large community, you should be signing up to certain training. Okay, and that's not just me trying to sell a course or anything. Like, the course may never come because, like I said, there's no fucking point in doing anything anymore because everyone's fucking retarded and thinks they don't need a course in order to fucking control a community of 50,000 people in a pandemic. Because you know it all, don't you? I'm sure you do. You looked it up. You can set it up. There's a frictionless experience for you to just set up a community and have it blow up out of nowhere, and you don't need to do anything other than hope you don't get banned. That's not like good on you. Same, but you can't do that to psychology and law, because you know what happens in the legal profession? If you go and practice law without these considerations, that person ends up in jail. Okay? Or worse. Okay? Psychology, that person can actually have, that's quite disastrous, it breaks families apart. Like, again, we've got this problem with psychologists at the moment, like with younger psychologists who are just using a therapeutic language and the weaponization of therapeutic language online as well. It's not so much but they're using frameworks that are breaking families apart because these kids have decided that they are they're using the right words, they're using the right language, they're getting themselves diagnosed and misdiagnosed in most cases with various things because they know what to say, because they've researched it, and they can, and like with ADHD in particular, it's easy to, like I said, a good therapist will, like I said, but the qualification is a good therapist will be able to spot that, but an internet therapist can't. Okay? And that's why BetterHelp, I love how the benchmark with this AI therapy thing is BetterHelp. It's like, well, no, I hate that too. That's a terrible idea. That you can just shop around, because with BetterHelp, right? And you can theoretically shop around like in real life as well. But they keep selling this access. They keep selling this customer-centric approach to everything, where sometimes the customer isn't right, and the customer needs a consultant or someone with experience or someone like the law or someone to tell them no. And that is the problem, which is that these apps, they keep selling themselves as democratizing the fucking information revolution. You can just pick whatever therapist you want and only get one. You can just, if you don't like that therapist, you can just switch to another one. And if you don't like that person's advice, you can switch to another one. Did you know what happens if you keep doing that here? You start to build a name for yourself as maybe someone who can't be, who might have something else going on. Like for me, it's like, with my clients, if you had 4 agencies before me, okay, I'm going to go, well, maybe it's you, okay? But unfortunately, BetterHelp also creates these things where people can just bounce between groups until they get this reinforcing loop of fucking stuff that is bad for them. And this is the whole problem with the internet, like with people being, unwilling to listen to people who have been there before, who have actively sold this. Like, when I first started with my career, the biggest thing that I talked about was this truth, it evolved into the true fans principle. I've been selling that message since, the 90s about how enabling and powerful, even for me personally, how enabling it has been. It's what the book's about, right? But it's like the never book, because again, I can't take Koch money or Epoch Times money to write propaganda like most of the people who write books these days. And it's like, well, I'm the one who sold this stuff as enabling. And then over time, I watched them watched this chip away. Capitalism just chipped away at this thing, okay? And it is a monster now. It does not resemble. And what I do is I see fucking, people in their 20s who just, oh, fuck off, grandma. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. I know everything. I have a PhD in machine learning. I know all there is to know about everything. Never mind that you've got qualifications in your area and I might want to listen. No, I know everything. PhDs in the US take 3 years. By the way, I didn't know that. Seems like it's pretty easy to get a fucking, I swear to God, American education, holy shitballs. They're so stupid, man. It's like, oh my God. So I'm of the view that, it doesn't matter. There's probably about the top 5% of Americans are very smart at their specific thing, at STEM and various things. The other 95% are beyond hope. They're armchair quarterbacks. They're fucking stupid as fuck. And I would say that even the top, not the top 5, because that's always, but that second layer, very mid. Like if you're above average intelligence in America, you're pretty mid elsewhere, I think. Fuck me. But it's just like, but there's so many reasons why AI cannot do therapy, amongst other things. Obviously there's other areas that it can't replace. But like this in particular, and I'm just so fucking over these tech bros who think that they know everything and are, willfully and publicly bragging about it. So it wasn't the fact that she has an opinion that it's useful in some cases. No one would disagree with that. Okay? But it was the fact that they're just openly, the contempt, it was the response to it. It was the contempt for those who might have actually something to say about it, who've been there and walked that road before, who are saying, no, this is actually like completely unethical. And you might want to look into like the ethical guidelines around these things, because first of all, you can't, the AI are practicing without a license. So it's against the fucking ethical guidelines on its face. Okay. There's no quality assurance in place. Okay. What model are you using? What approach? Is that model the correct model for that particular person? Are you doing cross-cultural psychology, or are you doing like a capitalist approach to psychology, which is, it's like there's no supervision. So a big part of psychology is having supervision. Okay. Especially of people who know more than you and have walked that road before. That's the whole idea of human supervision. Okay. And it's like there's no scope. So a lot of therapeutic stuff is around, you set a goal, you limit that scope and you limit that relationship and you focus on that specific problem. Okay, how does that person know what problem they're trying to solve? Because a big part of the first few sessions of psychology is rallying around a specific thing and trying to diagnose what the problem is that you want to solve in the first place. Like most people, it didn't work for me. Yeah, well, maybe you should stick it out. Maybe that's the thing. You should stick it out, right? And it's like, but it's also just, it's just insane. Like it's not even, and also like just basic things like informed consent. Okay. They must have informed consent and they must be able to see, they must be able to be a participant in the relationship and, all of those sorts of things, right? Record keeping, accountability, billing, like all of these things, right? There's so many things. Right now, like I would say, it's like don't compare it. And also, yeah, so just turning around and calling people reactionary. We've been there before, dickhead. I got 20 years on you. I was there. I've been here before. And I was that person and I was wrong. And I dismissed people and we ended up here. Now, you might live in the matrix. You might sit there with your anime profile and machine learning and porn sick fucking, whatever the fuck's going on with like engineers these days. Okay, but I want to hear from well-adjusted people about the benefits of AI. I don't want to hear from people with porn sickness and porn addictions and social media addictions and people who are driving society down to the ground about the benefits of the thing that is, they're an obvious fucking case study and why it shouldn't happen. It's like, I don't want to hear from an engineer with a cartoon avatar calling everyone fucking racists because they said that that person who works for OpenAI is an idiot, because they are an idiot. So fuck me. I want a credible person who's been through this, who isn't brain broken, to actually talk about AI. And they won't. They won't, because they don't exist. Those people do not exist. And it's like, yes, but this is the problem with these fucking technologies, is that it's like forgiveness, not permission approach, which is that, oh, well, the law will come for us eventually. Let's just get rich in the meantime. Well, that's not really how I want to live my life. Okay? Because I was looking at that shit. I was joking with Paul about that, like just making the fucking dynamic videos and just scheduling a whole bunch of shit and just taking the cash. And I joked to Paul, I was like, we should just set up a script that does that. And he's like, who are you? And I was like, no, I was joking. But, like it's like, I don't have any incentive to fucking do the right thing. There's no incentive. I'm punished for doing the right thing all the time. I'm punished. I'm held back because I won't use AI to do things. I'm held back because, obviously, I use AI as a tool, like to help, outline things or summarize things or whatever. That's how it should be used. But, I don't just generate everything with AI, and I don't, there's an ethical component to it, which is that I don't want to do that. But I'm definitely incentivized to do it. I'm not going to, much like with SEO agencies or digital agencies or, anyone who does AdWords campaigns or anything like that with SEO, websites, anything like that. The industry is, oriented and all the incentives are towards doing the wrong thing. All the money and all of the fucking stuff and all the, because clients are idiots, okay? They don't know, they don't care. They don't know good from bad. So, everyone's incentivized to do the wrong thing. And I my whole career has been trying to compete with, SEO agencies that gouge small businesses and clients for like, thousands of dollars a month, but don't actually do any work because they just tell the client they did. Like, you think I don't know about these things, but these AI guys, and, it's like it's a race to the bottom. And because our lawmakers are so fucking useless, and like, obviously it's good. They're starting to sort of clamp down on it, and it's coming at knots, which is good. But at the same time, they're a bit late. They should have been on this a decade ago. They should have been regulating and saying, no, but they were too shiny and some of them were too in the fucking, oh, wow, let's invest in R&D. What we need to do is give idiots and VCs more power over, and what we need to do is just give VCs money. That's what our innovation program is. We're just going to give people grants and hope that they do the right thing. And what we'll do is we'll call it an innovation department, and we'll appoint a middle-aged white man who will just automatically with no fucking sense of anything, give him control of the purse. And what we will do is we will just ride the coattails but not actually do anything. And then on the other hand, you've got the sort of the older judges and, various like politicians and that sort of thing who have no fucking idea what was going on at all. The metadata debate years ago and the net filter debate and all those things, they were an embarrassment. Okay. And it's like, well, we're getting there now, but then you've got the fucking right wingers going on about how free speech, censorship. No. Yes, but no. You don't have answers to these problems, but it's like nobody's really thinking about, hang on, my phone's going flat. Hopefully that's still working. There we go. Because I'm using the phone at the desk rather than but yeah, I mean, what's the crisis intervention plan? What about vulnerable populations? Okay. People don't, the thing about psychologists is that people may not know what they need. The only way AI works is if AI knows what they need. And AI can't possibly know what they need because humans will, not have insight into their own world unless, it's like, fuck me. Absolutely fuck me. But, it's like, anyway. I was going to talk about like the Twitter thing, but I can't be asked. I'm tired. Yeah, I think I might cut that into something else. The main one was about AI, and I think I've gone long enough anyway. An hour. I'm going to break it up and do another one another time. Yeah, I'm going to go. Okay. Thanks for watching. Sorry about the rant, but get your shit together, guys. Fuck me. Anyway, bye.